Yo, this is the cream in your coffee, your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler, the Jewish canon, the physical embodiment of charisma, the most entertaining man in professional wrestling, the Bernie Sanders of professional wrestling, the best of the best, Mr. American Rana, Davey Wrestling, the 104-minute man, the main event. I'm really good at Twitter, the king of taunts, the product, David Starr. And support WrestleTalk and go subscribe.
Support WrestleTalk!
Let's all predict WrestleMania 36 because we're never happy and we just want the next thing now, even before WrestleMania 35's even happened. I'm Ollie Davis. I'm joined by the other one, Luke Owen, and welcome to the Saturday magazine edition of the WrestleRamble, where we're talking about WrestleMania 36.
In a pre-recorded format, not live streaming today.
It's weird, yeah. I mean, we can screw up more.
Oh, yeah.
But still keep it in. So there's no difference.
You messed up that intro 5 or 6 times before we started recording.
Hey, that was a oneer. First try, every time. First time, every time.
First try.
We got that wrong. So this comes from the report from Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer newsletter this week that the WrestleMania main event this year, WrestleMania 35, which we now know WWE have confirmed, and they're always so true to their word.
I don't think they can go back on this one, though, because ESPN have covered it now, so they can't change their minds now. I think once it's out in sort of like, okay, when they announce something on Twitter, like, it'll be a fatal 4-way, that doesn't matter because that's just screaming it into the ether. They've got like 20 billion followers that are, mostly bots or whatever anyway, so it doesn't really matter. It's only you and I that pick up on that. When it goes up onto mainstream media sites, they have to stick to those plans.
I don't know. I could see it becoming a 4-way. I could see it becoming a one-on-one. I could see it I reckon SmackDown go home angle, Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
The main event. It's me as a 12-year-old fantasy booking every feud that I liked in the Attitude Era. Always ends in a Hell in a Cell.
And it's also a ladder match.
Yeah.
So you got
on top of the...
Exactly. So you got to get the ladder on top of the cell and then go up. Also, it's on fire.
Yes. Yeah. Which part? The ladder?
Well, the hell. The hell in a cell. Like literally, if you want to call it hell in a cell, you got to emit as much hell as possible. Fire.
Commit.
Yeah, commit to it.
The
mate.
audience.
Yeah.
Set them on fire in this just awful apocalyptic vision of wrestling future. Right, so because of that, we know that it's going to be Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte versus Becky Lynch. We don't know how many titles are on the line.
No, so finish what you're going to say and then we'll talk about what we think the rules are.
So the line from the Wrestling Observer is, the plan is to come out of this main event with a clear direction for next year's WrestleMania 36. And that to me says it's in the vein of John Cena and The Rock setting up next year's WrestleMania match at the end of this year's show.
And so it could set up Becky versus Charlotte to be one of the big matches of next year, or Charlotte versus Ronda, or Becky versus Ronda. And so essentially we're going to set up what possibly next year's main event will be. But as Meltzer says, this is 2019 Vince McMahon. It'll change 1,000 times a week.
Yeah. Let's try so we can better predict what the big angle coming out of WrestleMania 35 that's going to set up next year's WrestleMania. Let's figure out what the main event this year actually is.
So, one report has said that both titles are on the line, but only for Becky. So if Becky pins Charlotte, she becomes the SmackDown Women's Champion. But if she pins Ronda, she becomes the Raw Women's Champion.
Yeah.
But if Ronda pins Becky, she keeps her Raw Women's Championship. And if she pins Charlotte, she doesn't become SmackDown Women's Champion. And if Charlotte pins Ronda, she doesn't become Raw Women's Champion. If she pins Becky, she keeps her title.
Jesus. I mean, it's a simple thing to grasp, but to explain it is long.
It's like, cut to Mike Tenay. The rules are very simple.
5 sheets. It's like, hey, this is War Games. You want to know what War Games is? Sit through my 47-slide Drew Gulak style PowerPoint presentation.
Absolutely.
You know what? And I always loved this about ECW. An ECW 3-way, the rules are, it's kind of an elimination where the first pin eliminates that person then it goes down to a two person. I get does that have a specific name in WWE?
I was just trying to think of what that name is.
Three-way dance.
A three-way dance, yes.
Is that what it is? Yeah. So I mean, sure, chuck that in.
Yeah.
How many pinfalls do you want?
Yeah, but you don't want to pin too many people and make them look weak, do you? You want to try and protect people as much as possible to head into next year's WrestleMania.
Ideally, you don't want to pin anyone. You're right. Count out victories. So everyone gets counted out, and that's the build to a rematch next year.
On a more serious note, do you want to hear? I mean,
I'm being serious. After the last month of booking.
Me and Laurie were talking about this on yesterday's NXT show, that you end WrestleMania with Becky pinning Ronda. She's now your Raw Women's Champion. Charlotte is the SmackDown Women's Champion. You almost have like your Eddie Benoit WrestleMania 20 moment where you have almost a Charlotte Flair face turn of them holding their belts up together. Bayley and Banks come down. And all 4 horsewomen. And then you get Shayna Baszler, Jessamine Duke, and Marina Shafir come down with Ronda. You have a stare off there with the 4 horsewomen versus the 4 horsewomen, and that's how you build to next year's WrestleMania.
You know what? That's a fantastic... I mean, it's not a fantastic way to do it. There are many, like, glaring holes there that WWE will just skirt over, like Becky and Charlotte are very much sworn enemies. But you can...
Frenemies.
You can tell the story through their match of them coming together to work against Ronda. I would ideally like that to have been set up in story going into it.
Well, we had to do all those suspensions and arrests and stuff and injury angles.
So something's got to give.
Exactly, yeah. Story had to, take a back seat.
And one of the scrapped original endings of WrestleMania that I believe Fightful reported, they said that you're going to have the 3. It was going to be Ronda versus Becky, or it's going to be Becky or Charlotte, whatever combination of people it was. The ending was going to be very similar to Evolution, where Stephanie McMahon walks down, everyone hugs, the whole women's roster at the top of the ramp, they're all hugging, and you're like, yeah, what a lovely moment, but also, I like to believe in the realism of it. Evolution, I thought it worked perfectly. I bought into that, especially because they did a good job of keeping some people away from others. It wasn't until afterwards that Becky and Ronda were just photographed standing next to each other. But
they hate each other, don't they?
But I wouldn't like to have that as the closing angle of WrestleMania.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. I would like this to be taken legit seriously. That's a personal preference of mine.
So you've got Charlotte's great. Ronda seems like she's going to leave. Those are what all the reports have said. But, Brock Lesnar, people have been saying that for years.
Well, yeah.
He's still here.
This is the other thing that was in the Observer, is that Meltzer was saying that the finish of the match depends on if Ronda is staying or not. Because, like Lesnar last year, the plan was for Roman to win. Plan all day long, Roman is winning the title. Until Lesnar signed the contract extension, and then Lesnar won, because that would shock the audience. So, swerve again. We all think Becky's winning. Ronda signs a short extension, or she decides to stick around for a little bit longer, and she gets the win at the end of the night. The audience is very shocked.
Now, I hope Ronda stays a few months more, because her heel character, like it's like when Batista turned heel in that first time. He only had 2 months of heel Batista, really, in that John Cena feud, and then he was gone.
He was duct taped out of there.
Yeah, and I missed him so, that was such a good run, but it was so brief. I feel like that might be Ronda's heel character. She only turned heel about 2 weeks ago, and then she's going to be gone. But that isn't to say that she should win at Mania. I think Becky's got to win. Case in point, Braun Strowman. There's only so many bits of momentum you can miss. And granted, they've given Becky all the good wins so far. Like she won the Royal Rumble. She won the belt back in SummerSlam.
No, that was Charlotte, because that's what sparked the heel turn.
Hell in a Cell, yeah. And then she didn't get pinned at TLC to lose it. So I think they've done a good job with Becky. This isn't like last chance saloon for Becky.
No.
But in terms of building the company, if Ronda's leaving, you want to build it and give the win to the person who's hottest and is going to stay there for the long term.
Something else I've just thought about as well. This is something that has been reported. I can't remember who reported this now. It might have been Meltzer, it might have been someone else, that said that one of WWE's big plans they want this year is they want to have a female wrestling match on one of the Saudi shows.
Yes.
So if they could swing that for the May show, Ronda keeps the belt until after WrestleMania, and then you do Ronda Becky at the Saudi show, which is the big one-on-one match we all wanted to see, and you just move it to the Saudi show rather than Mania.
So Becky pins Charlotte and wins the title.
No. So Ronda retains at WrestleMania, and she keeps her title, and she wins the match. And then you do Ronda Becky in the Saudi show, and that's where Becky gets the big win. And you can do the big ESPN. Becky wins the title in first women's match in Saudi Arabia. This, that, and the other.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I'm not saying it's a good idea.
Yeah,
I'm just saying I'm playing devil's advocate.
Well, if they go that way, because I do think that would be good to have a women's match in Saudi Arabia, and that's a very good way to do it. But I don't think that should sacrifice Becky's win at Mania. So you just have her win one belt at Mania, and then have her win the other belt in Saudi Arabia.
But there are no plans to unify the belts as far as...
Well, she just holds the two belts and she appears on both shows for a bit. She loses it at the next pay-per-view.
But that also contradicts the reports that WWE want separate champions on both brands.
So this is where I think Charlotte winning the SmackDown title is actually... It's created a lot of problems.
Yeah, hasn't it just?
Because really, the way to get the belt off Ronda with and keep the Ronda versus Becky match alive for WrestleMania 36, if that's what they're planning on doing, is to not have Becky beat Ronda. Ronda loses the title without getting pinned. That's a legitimate grievance and motivation to come back for next year's feud. But now you've got a belt on Charlotte, and you've got potentially the weird rule where whoever gets pinned loses their championship. That really muddies things and doesn't allow you to protect the people you wanted to protect.
What's more maddening about this is that, going by reports, the decision will be made on Raw as to what the rules of the match are. Like, they're basically just planning out now, like all this week and all this weekend, what are the rules of this match, and we'll announce it on Raw.
Well, I have sympathy for
just
that.
Think about that in advance, though, mate.
But we've had that sometimes. Like, what are we going to do with the thing next? Just do it on Monday.
Well, like we do every WrestleRamble.
Or WrestleRamble. Big channel splitting storylines.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So there's one, unless you've got any other bits.
No.
I was going to say another name, and I think this would have been a real good shout prior to the sexual assault allegations that have come out against him. Because I think it was Tuesday, Conor McGregor is like, yeah, I'm retired, by the way. Haha, you won't let me. I think he wanted points. He wanted shares in UFC. And UFC were like, no. There's a lot of interesting business stuff going on in UFC, very similar to how the WWE Network has changed the way wrestlers are remunerated for performing. Before, UFC MMA fighters would get a cut of the pay-per-view business. That's what all their contracts are built upon. But now a new deal has been put in place with ESPN, I want to say, and UFC, where a lot of this will go on the streaming service, nullifying the pay-per-view model of how fighters get their kickbacks. Exactly what happened with wrestlers when the network came along. Exactly what CM Punk was so aware of when that first started to chip into people's bonuses.
And according to Punk, at the very least, WWE didn't really have an answer as to how it would change things.
Yeah. So anyway, all that aside, but that's the reason, I mean, but also him being generally insane, that he said, oh yeah, I'm retired, by the way, and playing games and stuff. So I thought, WWE, how could they get bigger? You get the biggest pay-per-view draw in the world, Conor McGregor, to show up at WrestleMania. There's the MMA connection there with Ronda Rousey. I know it's very tenuous, but MMA, you just chuck those two people together. But there's also a pre-existing relationship with Becky Lynch.
Yes.
They've tweeted back and forth. They're both Irish.
And all Irish people know each other.
Yeah.
They all grew up in the same town.
The story writes itself. But then, like, the next day, the New York Times reported that Conor McGregor is under investigation for a sexual assault that took place in Dublin in December. So I think, especially on a women's evolution focused show, I can't see it happening now. But I bet it was talked about. Like before the sexual assault allegations
Well,
came
I
out.
mean, the reports were that Triple H was desperate to get WWE involved in the McGregor-Mayweather fight last year. They wanted to do something at SummerSlam. They wanted to do like a contract signing at SummerSlam or something like that, so they could do this big. If you subscribe to the WWE Network, you can see the next chapter of the McGregor-Mayweather storyline. Because it was a storyline. Let's be honest, that was a more worked match than WrestleMania will be. So I could definitely see them wanting to get involved in that because he's got mainstream appeal. And with the Fox deal coming up to October very soon, like that's not that far away. That'll come around quicker than we think about it. They'll want like a big name star that they can put onto the show, put on the posters. And then you've got like Lesnar, McGregor, Rousey, Roman, and all the big names that they like to build the company around can go onto the Fox brand.
Yeah, and I think McGregor, weirdly, we were talking about it earlier, that the parallels with Mike Tyson when he was brought in.
WWE Hall of Famer, Mike Tyson.
Yeah, when he was brought. A man who has never had a cup of coffee.
Really?
Only drinks tea. Never drunk coffee in his life. Isn't that remarkable?
Well, that is remarkable. I also found out this week that Kevin Mahan of the Attitude Era podcast has never worn jeans. Like, he's worn jeans once, and that was because he had to buy them when he went to a job.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
What does he usually wear?
God knows. Jogging bottoms, maybe?
Blimey, what a life. But yeah, so Mike Tyson, he came in for the 1998 WrestleMania 17?
Oh, maybe a couple of years before that.
15,
14.
14? It was the Shawn Michaels Stone Cold match.
It was 15.
15. And that was a huge...
No, it was 14.
That was a huge needle mover in terms of the Monday Night Wars and just getting a huge influx of mainstream casual viewers to watch the product. And that's because, Mike Tyson was a few years past his peak popularity by then and had done 3 years in jail for rape because he was convicted for that. But then, he came back and he appeared there. So there is a history to having these big name performers come in just for sort of special enforcer roles. The only sticking point, I would say, otherwise it's a fantastic idea, is this sexual assault allegation.
Yeah, that will certainly go against them because it would be very hypocritical of WWE to have fired Enzo Amore amidst accusations of sexual harassment or sexual allegations and then bring Conor McGregor in while he's also in the midst of them.
Yeah, you're right. WWE wouldn't do something hypocritical regarding their women's PR.
I just don't think it's in their character.
Yeah. Well, that's, by the way, the Conor McGregor stuff is purely speculation on our part.
On your part.
Nothing, no, on my part. There's nothing that's come out recently because of this. But there is a track record of both sides talking with each other. Last year's Mania as well. Apparently they were in talks, but they just couldn't come to terms on money because McGregor commands a ridiculously high price tag.
But now we've got that Saudi money, we've got that Fox money to play with.
Sweet, sweet Saudi money. Just compound the controversy.
Exactly, by throwing money at it.
Should we get on with some crap gimmicks?
If you're wondering to yourself, what the heck is a crap gimmick? Well, that's a segment we do here each and every Saturday on the WrestleRamble, where you, the SWAF Nation, send to us your crap gimmicks, and then we, the bookers of Crap Gimmick Wrestling, decide whether we want to sign them or not. We pick them at random, although it's big backlog, you know the story by now. This one comes in from Reese Collier from August 17th last year. Below is my submission for CG Dub. I hope you and Ollie like it. Love all your content. From you, Ollie and El Fakador, I would be a pledge hammer if I could, because your content is more than fine. Okay, now that I'm done being a fanboy, here's my gimmick. Max Meme. Max Meme is a young professional wrestler whose favourite pastime is to look at and create memes. He incorporates them to every aspect of his character and mentions them whenever possible. He could come out to a variety of different themes. All-Star by Smash Mouth, Africa by Toto, We Are Number One from the TV show Lazy Town. Any of these genuinely great songs, but for the context of a wrestling show, let's go with the best of both worlds. Maybe throw in an air horn or distortion effect for good measure. Max's promos would consist of him referencing many memes verbally to the crowd, crowd to little or no reaction. He sometimes tries to get the production team to put his favourite meme up onto the Titantron, but they never can because they don't have a clue what he's talking about most of the time because they're very obscure. Max's ring gear will be different each week to match the ever-changing meme landscape. He may start off with a basic top text, bottom text meme circa 2012 on his tights, but then in a few months he might wear weird abstract gear to represent the weird millennial humour of today. It's in quotation marks. To summarise his gear though, it would be basic, brightly coloured tights with memes covering the sides.
So it changes all the time, but basically...
But there is a basic design. His signature moves would be, brackets, prepare to see how I would be the only person who would like Max meme with my niche meme knowledge. Play along at home if you know and understand them. Close brackets. A massive chop followed by a falcon arrow he calls massive damage. A name he screams when he hits it. A delayed suplex where he holds his opponent to make the upside down L shape before finishing the move, screaming wah during the move. A move he calls easy peasy Waluigi. And more frequent changing moves.
I don't get any of those.
Well, I think it's more wah. I should have been more like that as opposed to wah.
Oh, so that's a meme?
Well, it's the Luigi noise. I know
Yeah.
I know who
well, yeah,
Waluigi
I know it's the Waluigi noise. I'm not an idiot.
I've got a Switch.
Yeah,
I played Mario Party.
I just don't know if that's been picked up by the meme community.
I don't know. Well,
I'm not dank.
I know
I'm
Luigi
afraid.
certainly did when it was for the Mario Kart trailer when he was giving people the evil eye.
Wah!
Is that your Waluigi?
Yeah, it's not as good as yours.
Wah!
Wah!
I think that's more Wario though.
Wah!
Because it's more like Waluigi.
Wario is my go-to Mario Kart. player.
Wario.
I like the big guys.
Yeah, Donkey Kong was for Mario 64, Mario Kart 64. That was my
Big guys on a motorbike. That's how I play. That's how I play. Yeah.
Anyway, Max meme.
Yes.
I had to truncate some of this down because it was a very long submission.
You know what? It's very well written, Reese, and it's very well researched. I don't know what you're talking about. I know my friend doesn't know what a meme is.
Really?
I have tried to explain, and he's like,
how do you even explain?
Well, you go back to Richard Dawkins. You say this is the selfish gene. You make them read that, and they say there's this little part called a meme. It's the one component, and then people build it. But yes, he's not getting it.
Oh.
He's it's been years.
My university housemate back in
Ironically, it's Mario. He's my friend. He's
Mario.
my friend Mario.
My university housemate, sort of back in 2004, 2005, used to call them memes.
Ah, bless. GIF.
GIF. It's all the same.
So it's there's no character there. Is what I'm
What are
struggling.
you trying to
with.
say about wrestling memes?
There's no memes. Actual Tom from
Tom
Wrestling
Memes.
Memes who wrestles. But that's different.
What you just said though is he's rubbish and there's no character.
No.
within him.
This is about memes.
I'm totally going to send this to him.
Tom Anstey has
I'm
made
gonna text him when we
has
get out of
made a
this.
character.
And be like, Tom, Ollie was
he's-
shooting hard
he's
on you.
made a really good character, like like someone who believes in his abilities too much. Who's the meme fame has gone to his head, and he's made a meme out of that, which is that's smart. This is just a scattergun approach. How dare you? Love wrestling memes. The person.
Yes. Oh,
And
actually,
the
and the
topic
Twitter
in
feed,
general.
yeah. Thanks, Tom. Anyway, this comes in from Chris on November 17th. Hello, Luke. No one else, I hasten to add. I'm a long-time fan, and I greatly enjoy all the WrestleTalk content. I have a heel female tag team for the crap gimmicks called the Jam Sisters. And just to emphasize they're a heel, he's put brackets, heel. The Jam Sisters...
Maybe that's their name.
Or the Jam Sister heel. Jam Sister to open bracket, heels, close bracket. Could be.
I think the Heel Sisters could be a good name for a tag team.
Get to work on it, folks.
And they wear flats. Why? The name.
The Jam Sisters are twins, a tag team from the UK, England, named Strawberry and Marmalade, and are often referred to as the sensual English muffins. They are heels, just to make sure we get that point across, and during promos after a successful win, they present a toast to each other in which they how hot they are, and if that wasn't enough, they also keep their manager or advocate, if you will, in tow. This manager books them into matches with the freshest of talent and brings a little more flavour to the commentary booth during all their bouts. Their manager, a well put together woman, usually dressed in office attire with a great tan and shiny oiled skin is called Bianca Butters. Their tag team finisher is the cream cheese. Marmalade does a cannonball on the opponents in the corner, then pulls them out to fall flat and be hit with a frog splash in the top rope by Strawberry for the pin. Thanks for reviewing my admission. All the best from the US to Fakador, Wonder Ollie, and the other one.
Chris, that's just bad. That's just bad, man. You can't just put descriptive words in prose that don't really have anything to do with the character and describe them that way.
When I think of strawberry and marmalade, I don't think fresh.
Or oiled.
No, oiled
Where's
is one.
oiled coming from?
Yeah, no, I don't know that one either.
Jam sisters, muffins. I feel like this is very much written from someone who isn't English.
Well, he is from the US.
Yeah, and they've just seen a few generic bits about England, and they've done a superficial reading of that as a concept. Sorry, this is. Thanks for sending it in.
Thank you very much.
It's no good.
And this was sent in by Nick Feldkamp on March 25th, 2019.
Whoa, that was this week.
That was this week. That's how random we're picking them, folks. He has suggested in a powerful heel. I missed some of this email.
A name is lacking, isn't it?
He's called Endgame. Sorry, I missed the start of the email.
Okay.
So he's called Endgame. He is a powerful heel who only comes out for a show once a year. He holds an Undertaker-like presence, but his ideology is simple. He wants to eliminate opponents who he deems unworthy for CG dub. He defends his belief that he's the only one true worthy competitor that once a year can show up and develop a streak that he can ultimately be conquered. His finisher is the snap, which is him snapping his fingers followed by a KO punch. He should be a big brute like Walter. That would be perfect.
There's not much meat on this.
It's basically, I think you just wanted to say Endgame.
Yeah, I feel like it needs a few more gems on the gauntlet.
Yeah.
It's a bit lacking. I also think for crap gimmick wrestling, you don't need the punch. You should just do the snap, and the person should sell it like they've been
absolutely,
hit.
yeah. Or sometimes they don't. It's like a 50-50 thing.
When's it gonna work?
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I like the idea of someone coming out once a year as a crappy version of our Undertaker. But yeah, there's just not enough on there.
Okay, so we have Endgame, we've got the Jam Sisters, and we've got Max Meme.
It's none of them for me, I'm afraid.
There's none for me as well. And if you want to submit a question to the mailbag, all you've got to do is become one of our awesome pledge hammers over on Patreon at any dollar amount and leave your comment in the community section. We do want to apologize as well that our review of WrestleMania 20 is late.
Who would have thought engaging in a total war with upstart Screenstalker channel would take up so much time?
And then when you have to record almost twice the amount of content that you were previously doing... with one studio space. Yeah.
Well, don't worry. The chopper's going to be around more. That's the plan. And usually, it would be totally fine. It just the workload of extra fun videos. Took its toll.
It did a little bit. Yes, we are very sorry about that, but we'll be looking to try and get it done next week. But if you are a $10 backer, Ramble Club will be up on Monday, because we're going to be recording that very shortly.
Yeah, you won't miss out on any episodes. Like, it will just be. This month's will be late.
Yes, exactly. Noah Trombley asked, which title reign, in your opinion, was worse? Triple H's reign of terror as World Heavyweight Champion from 2002 to 2005, or all of Brock Lesnar's time as Universal Champion? I mean, this is
interesting.
A fairly easy one for me to answer. I wasn't watching in that period of 2002 to 2005. In fact, really, I dropped off WrestleMania X8, so that would have been 2002, and I got back into it at New Year's Revolution 2005, and Triple H would lose the title 3 months later. So I've gone back and watched all the pay-per-views, and they are pretty bad, but I didn't have to live through it. I lived through it retroactively.
But you could argue that it drove you away almost as a fan.
But it wasn't him winning the title that drove me away. It was Hogan winning the title in 2002, which I thought was utterly ridiculous.
It's weird because
preposterous.
The problem is Brock Lesnar isn't there enough.
No.
Whereas Triple H was there way too much.
All the time, yeah.
I think Brock Lesnar's upside as champion. But you're talking all the reigns, because his most recent reign has been abhorrent. And I'm just basing all my Lesnar goodwill goes back to that feud with Goldberg, which I adore. Yeah, I've got to go Lesnar, actually, just because Triple H wasn't actively damaging the appeal. He was just boring.
I think some fans might say that he was.
Yeah.
But I wasn't one of them.
But at least he didn't slow down. At least he didn't stop a whole division. He just sat on top of it.
I think he did with Goldberg, though.
I know what. I'm not articulating my point well. But at least there was a division.
At least
that's
there was
what
a
I'm
champion.
saying.
Yeah.
At least there was a champion.
Connor Kiran says, I love your live reviews, but I want to get involved, and I finish work at 3 o'clock. Can you not do them at 4, so at 2 o'clock, so I can watch along? I know it's selfish, but you've got to ask. 3 p.m. works for US viewers.
Yeah, we can tinker. We're doing 3 o'clock at the moment, but all the clocks change this weekend.
Certainly do.
Should we talk about WrestleMania?
If you want to talk about it, mate, do you want me to bring up the...
Let's pencil something in. Let's pencil this in, folks. We have genuinely enjoyed doing the live streams.
Yeah.
I'm surprised by how much fun they are. It's weird because we don't change anything.
No.
We've just got an Andy there and you guys, it feels like we're all in the same space together. So, we were talking about doing WrestleMania live stream watch along, and then that became NXT.
Yeah, so here's what is happening. On Friday, this is the plan. It's penciled in at the moment, but I'm pretty sure this is what's going to happen. On Friday, we're going to do a watch-along of NXT TakeOver New York.
That's me, Luke, and Laurie.
Yes. And then the same three will be doing a live watch-along of the G1 Supercard from Madison Square Garden.
New Japan and Ring of Honor.
And then on Sunday, we're going to do a live watch-along of WrestleMania 35.
With just some mates as well, who are also going to come into this.
Some of our friends who would usually watch WrestleMania with us, but we've got to come to work, are just going to come and watch it with us and kind of sit off camera.
WrestleTalk and friends.
Yeah, that's yeah. Then on Monday, we're going to watch the Raw After Mania live.
That's just me and you.
Just me and you. And on Tuesday, we're going to watch the SmackDown After WrestleMania live as well, and we'll be live streaming our reactions to that. If you are just a WrestleRamble viewer, we're gonna do WrestleRamble reviews as well. So there'll be like the 8-hour watch along of WrestleMania, but then there'll be like the hour and a half WrestleMania WrestleRamble review that will go up the following day. Same with TakeOver, same with the G1 Supercard, same with Raw, same with SmackDown.
They'll be live streamed, but they'll be later in the day. So they'll like 5 p.m. British time. Yeah, because we'll be coming in and doing that first, and then staying through till like 4 or 5 in the morning.
Yeah, because we'll finish like first thing in the morning, go home, kip for a bit, and then come back into work.
Yes. Yeah, and then we'll be back to normal on the 14th of April. So 5 days of staying up very late, and then I'll run a marathon.
You got to run a marathon, mate.
4 days after.
Yeah. Good luck with that. Anton writes in to ask, the other day, Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez were discussing the success of Shinsuke Nakamura and Tetsuya Naito going on excursions to Mexico to improve their gimmick and character work. Why doesn't WWE encourage excursions for their developmental talent? The closest instance I can think of is firing Drew McIntyre for him to then return to NXT after successful runs in TNA and the Indies. In your opinions, which wrestlers on the roster could use similar excursion work to work on many facets of a successful wrestler to thrive in the WWE?
The reason this model works so well is that the New Japan Dojo just makes you learn basics for years. You're just doing the
solid fundamentals
for ages, and you're not allowed to have a gimmick. The whole point is that you wrestle in just plain black trunks, plain black boots, and you're not allowed to do any real character work.
The young boys.
Yeah, the young boys. And then you just, you work your way up and you get onto the opening matches of a show and you get beaten by older, more established stars and you learn a bit more there. And then you go away for a year, you go to CMLL, you go to Ring of Honor, and then you do some stuff in Germany or the UK.
Go to
and
Rev Pro.
Rev Pro. And then you come back a year later and you've sort of had a chance to go crazy. It's a very Amish way of developing talent.
It's very true.
You get like in the Amish community, you get a choice. I think when you're 18, like, do you want to continue living in our community or have a year out? Have a year out, go and see what's out there, and if you still want to come back, because they don't want to. They don't want anyone there against their will, which is a very, good way of sorting it all out. And that's Jay White. I watched this happen with Jay White. He turned up. I would watch him a few times in New Japan. I don't know if he even had the Jay White name, but he was just nothing. Dark hair as well. And then he was on Ring of Honor, and you just saw a whole year of this guy coming through a bit more and a bit more and a bit more. And then I was like, oh, okay, he's pretty good. I really like him. He's missing something. And then he comes back last year, late 2017, to feud with Tanahashi. It's like, whoa, he's got a leather jacket now. And he was, the Switchblade character was born.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic idea. WWE kind of do it. They let people go to Evolve. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they go, we're not going to sign you yet, but we will sign you,
wink,
but
wink.
You're with Evolve.
NXT UK do stuff with Progress and ICW and
WXW.
WXW, exactly, out in Germany. So, yeah, they kind of got like these networks of other companies that they do let their developmental talent go out to.
The problem is, and I've always said this because people are like, oh, but an NXT UK is a great thing, or an NXT Germany or NXT Japan's a great thing. Like, yeah, but that isn't. It's just putting the Coca-Cola wrapper round a drink, and it's gonna still be the same thing at a top level. It's just gonna be a different rift on it. There won't be true innovation in those points. All the innovation comes from the actual independent companies on the outside. It's the same with music. It's the same with literature. It's the outside influences that change the big industry leaders, and then those get absorbed into those big companies, and then a new load of outside influences start up. It's never the developmental bits of the big companies that change the industry.
Yeah, and essentially, if you go to the main roster, it just gets beaten out of you anyway, just to do it our way.
Exactly.
Ryan asks, are there any I'll try that again. Are there any acts of kindness from wrestlers, whether they be personal experiences or things you've heard or seen, that stick in your mind or have made you think even more of them? I can remember a story where Sami Callihan saved a woman from a car wreck. Although I don't know about Sami Callihan before then, it made me take a liking to him early on.
Goldberg filling up a truck with WCW merchandise, driving down to an orphanage or whatever it was, a children's hospital, and just spending hours there around Christmas Eve, just giving them out. Like Goldberg,
not in his Santa sleigh outfit.
I'm sure. Yeah. Goldberg, when I watched WCW as a kid, and then I was sort of familiar with him from just I had bad will towards him because he left. He left the industry. How dare he? But then I heard that story about him. I was like, he's a good guy who was led astray by the Hogans and the Nashes.
Yeah, I could get on board with that. I can't really think of any other examples. Keith Lee's a lovely chap, though.
Gave us a free T-shirt.
He did give us a free T-shirt. Noah, this will be I think we've only got time for one more question. So we've had a couple about the WrestleMania main event, so we'll skip those because we kind of already discussed them. So let's have... Dwayne says, hello, WrestleTalk Screen Stalker crew. My question is, after WrestleMania, when the reset button is pushed and WWE season starts over, what divisions or new rivalries would you like to see get a fresh start / reboot? In my opinion, both tag team and women's divisions on both brands need a major overhaul. As always, I would like to see underutilized, underrated, and underappreciated talents get used more. Keep up the good work.
Think Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah,
Dolph Ziggler,
he'll be back.
Intercontinental title feud.
He'll be back the Raw after Mania.
I don't know.
Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, Bray Wyatt.
I'd like to see. I think Bray's a very good shout for the Raw after Mania, and I think that I'd like to see him get an actual solid push, kind of like he did when he first came in, which sort of all fell apart, and then he got just completely flattened out, and then had that dreadful 1 month reign as WWE champion. He only won the belt so he could lose it to Randy at Mania. So I'd like to see something for Bray.
I'd like... I presume Kofi's going to win the title. I wouldn't put Bryan back in that program right away. I'd have Kofi switch to like maybe another Vince McMahon cipher, and Bryan can have a couple of month feud with Mustafa Ali, just to help get Mustafa Ali over. Also, Kevin Owens has had a really bad deal. It's just circumstance, though. Sometimes these things play out. Kofi's gotten hot. Your Mania match for the title isn't happening, KO. So I would like Owens and Sami Zayn to team up, go over to Raw, and head up that tag division with the Revival. Well, for how long? But that, mix it up over there, and they actually focus on the tag division.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, that's we've got a little unboxing to do.
Yes, we have. We've got a WrestleCrate unboxing. If you want to head over to WrestleCrate.co.uk, use the code WTTV, you'll be able to get free stuff within there in your first box that may or may not include a signature of us. I can't remember if that's still in.
I think it is. Okay, let me position the mic differently.
Yeah.
I'm going to come over here. Well, don't look.
Oh, sorry.
Don't look at my box. First up, we've got a poster.
Poster. I'll open up the poster.
It's a bad positioning of the mic.
I think I've seen Jen open up this box already, so I think I know what a lot of stuff is. Jen Louise.
Oh, right. Ooh, that's pretty.
That is pretty. It's someone doing a shooting star press.
Who is it?
It's very difficult to tell.
It's so arty.
It is arty.
We've got
a WXW shirt.
We've got an ICW T-shirt. I don't know what
That's from
event
Rev Pro,
for.
actually.
It's just lots of beer cans.
It's a bit like the WrestleRamble studio. Certainly will be
it's
around
getting messy down
WrestleMania
here.
time.
Oh my god, I'm not even drinking.
Oh man, that
just coffee. Got a North Wrestling pin. I'm not familiar with North Wrestling.
No, neither am I. Oh, let me get this T-shirt out.
We have a Blackwater. Oh, Riptide. They're a good promotion down in Brighton. Really nice artwork there. Who's on the card? Chuck Mambo versus Eddie Dennis for the Brighton Championship.
Nice T-shirt, mate.
That is straight out of Progress. Who else we got here? Chris Ridgway in a 6-person tag. Oh, Aussie Open versus Jimmy Havoc and Ginny.
Yes, please, mate. All over that, mate.
Or David Starr versus Chris Brooks.
Oh, my boy Chris Brooks. Yes, mate.
Oh, that's great. And a hell of a scramble match. Millie McKenzie, Flash Morgan Webster, Viper, TK Cooper, Jack Sexsmith, and Candy Floss.
Oof, that is.
That's. So, yeah, intergender wrestling is a thing on this promotion.
Absolutely it is.
I've got a cool little pin here.
That's a key ring.
That is a key ring. It is the Dallas Sportatorium, which I believe... That's a famous wrestling venue, isn't it? That's really cool. Uh-oh, Spaghetti-O. We've got Becky Lynch on the front of Cooling Spots as well, which is a very good magazine. Oh, there's a bit of WS wrestling news in here. And a write-up. Always good.
Oh,
And that's the box. Oh,
that is a signed picture of Edge.
Oh, wow.
Former World Heavyweight Champion
Nice.
Edge. And a sticker for Flip Gordon.
He's sadly injured right now.
He is indeed.
Yeah. So what's the what? Can I hear the story behind the key ring?
The key ring. Oh, it's for Beyond Gorilla poster is the what we got. Dallas Sportatorium keyring. The Sportatorium in Dallas, Texas was one of the most famous venues in pro wrestling history. It served as the home for world-class championship wrestling during the 80s, and thousands would attend on a Friday night to see the Von Erichs, Chris Adams, the Freebirds, JYD, and more.
I believe it's been torn down. Oh, but maybe I'm thinking of something else, but I just know Dave Bradshaw, who's a commentator, he loves the Von Erichs, and he went to America, and he went to visit one of the most famous venues where they would wrestle, but it's been torn down, and he just stood in this field, and the person he was with was like, what are we doing here? and Bradshaw was like, crying, like, I'm here. Anyway, okay. That's all we've got time for today.
Before we get out of here, though, we are recording this on a Friday.
Okay.
It's someone's birthday today. And that someone is Oliver Davis.
I legitly forget.
Yeah.
Every time.
I was going to say, I said happy birthday to you this morning, and you turned to Lauren and was like, I forgot again.
Yeah, so that was 10 minutes after Laurie had given me a birthday present and gone, happy birthday.
did he get you?
It's my birthday. He got me a new Smash Up expansion pack.
Wow. Very cool. Which one did he get you?
He got, I can't remember the name, but it's got Ghosts, it's got the Bear Cavalry,
Nice.
and a few others.
Well, I've got some cards for you.
Some cards, plural. Don't know where there'd be two. So this first one is a little kitty cat wearing the headphones. And that's from Luke and Kate. Happy birthday, boss. It's sweet. I mean, the naked picture of Kate was Not needed.
It was her request.
Oh, I'll keep it though.
Yeah.
And this larger one is full of emojis. It's emoji season, and it's a big shared card. We've never done a shared card before.
I've never had this responsibility before, but when I went to go buy your birthday card yesterday, this is why I was late to work yesterday.
Yeah, that's what the thing in Stratford was.
Yeah, that's why I was late yesterday, because I went to get your birthday card, and and then I was like, oh, I should get a birthday card for everyone to sign, because both of our editors are in. We'll have Pete here, and Datson's in. Everyone can sign it. And so then I had the responsibility of like going around and making sure everyone had signed the card.
Ooh. Yeah, was I away at any point?
That's what I was waiting for you to go, like, do one of your long phone call, your business phone calls.
Wow. I would always, if a card came round the office, this was a trick. I had a friend who used to live with Matt Berry.
Really? The great voiced Matt Berry.
The great voiced Matt Berry, and very funny comedian. And Matt Berry
has a voice that sounds like this.
Exactly. That's more X Factor guy I just did. Yours was better. But he would sign all the breast, cross out breast, and then put breast wishes. Matt Berry. So he was like, I did it wrong. I'm just going to do it anyway. Yeah. I always thought that was.
Did you see how Laurie signed his one off?
Birthday cake emoji. Happy birthday, buddy. Boss and hugs and kisses.
Very good.
Ooh.
And I've got you a present.
And a proper present.
Yeah, it's not as good as Smash Up, I'm afraid. But
feels like a Funko Pop vinyl bug.
Call it a receipt.
Ooh, what is it? It's it's the cat from Captain Marvel. Oh, it's Goose.
Because
Goose.
We were talking about when you got me the Marvin the Martian one for my birthday last year, that you would have liked to have had a pop vinyl in your house, but your girlfriend doesn't really like them. But I thought, because it's a cat, you might be able to get away with that one.
You know, you keep saying pop vinyls are going to go out of business.
Yeah,
not when there's geeks to get birthday presents for.
Exactly.
That's inspired. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, mate. I think it's actually a bobblehead as well.
Find out later. Well, that's all we've got time for today. I'm gonna go off and not enjoy my birthday because I can't drink, but I'm gonna have a pint anyway. You know, I've actually drunk probably more than ever since saying I'm not drinking.
Yeah, I did notice that.
Weird. But please click the videos that have just appeared on the desk to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk awesome things, and this button right here, which will make you a pledge hammer on Patreon so you can get those exclusive podcasts when we eventually put them up. I've been Ollie Davis, this has been Luke Owen, and that was Rambling.